Right. So recently we got this American map sticker, and we've just crossed into Tennessee 3 days ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna put on the Tennessee sticker.
We are, and something really cool is we just crossed into the time zone change again. So where are we, Andre?
We are right by Lynchburg, Tennessee. So I'm going to visit the distillery, Jack Daniel's distillery today.
And Chattanooga, over the mountain, like half an hour east of us, is a totally different time zone. It's still Eastern time zone, and we just crossed into. I just think that's fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
It's like another state, like Florida, that has 2 time zones. That's right.
So the nice thing is we're running ahead this morning. We thought we were running behind.
Yeah.
All right, let's put the sticker on.
So here are the states that we still have to visit. That's still a lot, quite a lot. All right, let's do it, Bodhi. Can you help me?
Wait. 1 second.
Here you go, Busty. Yeah.
Right, Paul's got it.
Yes, Tennessee.
Tennessee whiskey.
Ready? And that looks good. Yay, Tennessee. Hi everybody, we're on our way to Lynchburg. We're gonna see the brewery, the distillery, Jack Daniel's Distillery, old number 7. And I'm gonna go by myself because you have to be 21 for the tour. There's gonna be a small sampling as well, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's America's oldest distillery, registered distillery, making Tennessee whiskey, the traditional Tennessee whiskey method. So I'm excited to learn all about it. So come along. In September last year, we traveled through Tennessee. We spent some time at the Great Smoky Mountains. We went to visit friends near Chattanooga, and we stayed at beautiful Timms Ford State Park. From there, it was only a short car ride to go to Lynchburg, to the distillery, home of Jack Daniel's. So I had to stop by and take a tour. The plan was to later that year also go to Kentucky and visit one of the distilleries there and see how bourbon is made. I wanted to see the difference between Tennessee whiskey and Kentucky bourbon. So, what is bourbon? Bourbon has to be made in the United States. It has to have a mash bill of at least 50% corn, and the rest can be made up of other grains. Like for example, barley, wheat, and rye. Rye will give it spiciness and fruitiness, and wheat makes it more mellow and gives it more sweetness. Bourbon can be distilled to up to 160 proof. It will be watered down to 125 proof before it goes into the barrel, and it has to be bottled at least 80 proof. It has to be put into new oak barrels that have been charred. Through the charring you will get a lot of flavor and all its color. Some of the flavors are sweetness and caramel, vanilla and oakiness. So Tennessee whiskey is basically a bourbon. It fulfills all the requirements for the bourbon production. There's just one difference. Tennessee whiskey has to be produced in the state of Tennessee, plus it has to undergo charcoal mellowing process, or also called the Lincoln County method, where sugar maple is turned into charcoal and the whiskey has to be filtered through that charcoal. When Jack Daniel's was 9 years old, he worked on a farm and learned how to make whiskey from a slave, Nathan Nearest Green. Jack Daniel's later on made Nathan Nearest Green his master distiller.
Wrap it up in this building with your tasting. So y'all need to follow me until we get to that building. If you don't feel well at some point or you change your mind, let me know. I've got a radio and I carry my phone if I need to yell at somebody. Just don't leave the group at any point. If a security guard is the one that finds you wandering off by yourself, I don't know where they take you. I just know there's no whiskey at the end of their tunnel. So stay with me. whiskey for you to try. It's pretty easy for you to find just about anywhere. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff while we're out here before we get into the tasting. We'll have a brief discussion about the different whiskeys, their differences, how we make them, and every bit of that whiskey is made here. There's no other Jack Daniel distillery anywhere else on the planet, so you came right to the source today. There's a cave back up in there, and that cave spring water is the whole reason that Jack Daniel came to this property to make whiskey, and that's where all of our whiskey begins. So there's no other Jack Daniel distillery. All this whiskey making happens in a dry county. So this county has been dry since 1909. You're in Moore County today. Moore County went dry in 1909. When Prohibition ended, we were back into the whiskey business, but remained a dry county. So basically that means we don't have bars or liquor stores, and we love that. It's part of the charm. I don't know anybody that lives in this county that would want to vote otherwise. We have about 300,000 people that come visit us every year to see our distillery. So a bar and a liquor store popping up around here, not really a good idea. It's the second smallest county in the state. So that these barrel houses are scattered across the county. This is a 7-story barrel house, so it's got over 20,000 whiskey barrels in there. These barrels have 53 gallons of whiskey in them. They're made from American white oak. And we'll actually see a barrel house later, and we'll learn about how we make the barrels later on too. Difference in a bourbon whiskey and a Tennessee Central whiskey. We do everything that must be done to call it a fine bourbon, and that's the extra step that we take to make our Tennessee whiskey a little bit different. And that's why folks did it around here back in Jack's day. I mentioned a minute ago you're in Moore County. When Jack Daniel was a very little boy, 8, 9 years old, he started learning how to make whiskey. This was the 1850s. That was not weird. I get a lot of funny faces about that, but back in the 1850s, that wouldn't have been uncommon for a young boy to learn how to operate a whiskey still. And when Jack Daniel was learning to make whiskey, he was actually born and raised about 4 miles down the street in Lincoln County. And this was called the Lincoln County process. There were over a dozen distillers in the Lincoln County area that made a charcoal filter out of local sugar maple wood. And that's how Jack Daniel was taught.
Jack Daniel bought the property for his distillery, for the cave, the well that is there. Water trickles through limestone and filters out all impurities, like all the iron. But it also adds minerals like magnesium and calcium.
Was it great? So Jack left home when he was about 8 or 9 years old. Sometime before, they call that Jack on the Rocks. So we checked that